So now a couple words on what else is out there. The sexual medicine has always been the Wild West, right? I mean, we know about everything from traditional Chinese medicine and rhino horns and deer antler extract and all of this stuff that's out there in supplement form, and certainly alternative medicine, some of it legal, some of it not so legal. So let me break down a few of the big ones out there and what I think about them, just as somebody that maybe have a little bit more of an inside knowledge. So everybody, who's heard of this, low-intensity shockwave therapy? Is anybody, show of hands? So not too many out there, LISWT. It's very interesting. So the Sexual Medicine Society of America, which is kind of an offshoot of my big professional society, AUA, we just had a big fight/meeting or meeting/fight about this. There are believers and non-believers. There's literature for and against. So let me give you just a background on the technology of what this is. Essentially, what we know, anybody ever had kidney stone? Lots of kidney stones. I've had one. They're terrible, right? Anybody ever had lithotripsy where they had shocked the kidney stone out? So same technology. So here's the story. The idea of shockwaves goes back to about the 1940s. The Russians actually figured it out. When we started to break the sound barrier at supersonic speed, planes would come back, they'd land, and their entire fuselage would be filled up with little pings. Ping, 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 ping. So you hear those sonic booms. That sonic boom translates into a physical force. So through about 40 years of research, they're able to get that physical force down into a large machine, which we could then target to break up kidney stones. The shock waves hit the kidney, they passed pretty harmlessly through the kidney, and they broke the stone. But they didn't pass totally harmlessly through the kidney. So when we looked at guys after shockwave therapy, looked at their kidneys, we found what happened was something called endothelial cell proliferation. So a kidney in a guy that had been treated for stones had way more blood cells, or blood vessels rather, than the kidney that was not treated with shockwaves. And so some very thoughtful Israeli scientists said, well, geez, we want more blood vessels in the penis. Why don't we just start shocking a bunch of penises and see what happens? And that's what they did about 15 years ago. And animal studies and now human studies, which in the United States are kind of not super big randomized controlled trials. So at this point in the United States, LISWT is still considered fringe medicine, not FDA approved, will probably never be FDA approved for a number of reasons, but very safe. European sexual medicine guidelines actually put this as first-line therapy, probably even safer than Viagra and Cialis and the pills. So this is available in the United States. It's always going to, and not always, but it's a cash pay procedure that costs vary depending on who's selling it to you, but certainly has some literature, and there might be a little bit more of a swelling of interest. It has been studied in men post-prostatectomy to be safe and effective, but again, it's still not prime time in the United States. But that's probably the sexiest of all of these things I'm going to talk about in terms of the literature, the data, and the science. P-shots or PRP, platelet-rich plasma. This is a thought is that you're taking cells that can generate more blood vessel flow by removing your own blood, centrifuging it, taking off the top layer, we call the supernatant, and then injecting it back into the guy's penis. Huge business in this country, huge business. Data still not really out there that it does anything, unfortunately, although if you look at just prospective studies of P-shots show efficacies of 30 to 40% and upwards. Anybody know? So Viagra came out in 1998. Studied for 10 years before that. So the placebo arm of Viagra, where the guys took a sugar pill, and they reported how good their erections were. Anybody know how many guys had better erections in the placebo arm of the Viagra clinical trials? To bring it to, anybody want to guess? Just yell out a number. 20%. 20%, pretty good. Yeah, it was almost 38%. So yeah, so if I give you a green M&M and tell you this is the best boner pill you're ever going to see, I just kind of rub the M off of it, and you believe me because I'm a really convincing doctor and I've got amazing qualifications and I'm a UCLA professor, then I've got a between 20 and 38% chance that you're going to get a great erection because there is an ability for our mind to control our body. There's no doubt about it. And I'm not saying that that's anything against P-shots, but I'm saying that you have to work pretty hard in a randomized controlled trial to beat placebo in something like this. Same thing with stem cells and cord bloods. Now, I'll tell you a thing about stem cells. Stem cells really, in some ways, can be the future of medicine. We're using them, we're looking in orthopedics, we're looking at in cardiovascular regeneration. Here's the problem with stem cells. And there's a lot of stem cell clinics that are getting opened and shut down at the same time across the country. Here's the problem with stem cells from a scientific standpoint. If I take a stem cell, whether I get it from fat or bone marrow or anywhere else that generates these primordial cells, if I don't have a scaffold, if I don't have some kind of matrix for that cell to grow on, your body's just going to piss it away, quite literally. So the problem with stem cells now, wherever we get them from, is if you inject it into whether it's a knee or a penis, it's hard for it to stay where it wants to go. So we need to develop, and that's what we're working on. So Wake Forest University and UCLA, we're kind of partnering on a potential big grant to look at stem cells where we have to build the biologic matrix in the penis for those stem cells to adhere to, and then we might find something. But the kind of stem cells that people are probably trying to sell on your street corner stem cell injection clinic don't have that biologic matrix. So just remember that. The idea of stem cells, very promising, very interesting, but you have to have the tissue engineering for those stem cells to actually do what you want them to do and differentiate into new penis tissue. Same thing with cord blood injections. Really interesting, very compelling, but the randomized trials aren't there, and therefore it's a little bit hard to come up with a scientific opinion on that. So all kinds of supplements out there. I won't spend any time on this because, again, we've got the supplement guru in the front row here. But there are ones that work, and there are ones that are studied, and I think this audience is pretty familiar with them. And I'm not a naysayer in that. And then I love sex therapy. I mean, whether I do or not, I don't know. But I love my patients to go through sex therapy. I think that this is something that is not well used by the medical community, but sex therapists are fantastic, and they're great at talking about what if a guy is never able to get another erection, right? So my job as a penis doctor is that I want you to walk out of my office or my operating room with the best erection that you and your partner can enjoy. That'd be great, right? But that doesn't happen. We have complications. We have guys that they're never gonna get another erection. Doesn't mean you can't stop having sex, right? There's so many different ways to be sexual that are beyond what I can teach as a physician or as a surgeon, and that's why I love my sex therapy community. It's truly is a critical part of especially couples dealing with this. So find a good one.